Welcome to a special episode from YourTeen Magazine and Cultivating Roots, where we tackle the teen years head on.
And let's be real, those years can feel like a roller coaster. 1 minute you're laughing together, the next, slam doors.
Oof, we are teen experts and co-founders of Cultivating Roots. I'm Caitlin, a licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Aaliyah, a credentialed school counselor.
And I'm Hannah, a credentialed high school special education teacher. In each episode, we answer the real, raw, and tough questions parents are asking about school, mental health, identity struggles, and everything in between.
So if you've ever thought, who is this kid, or am I messing this up, you're not alone.
We give honest answers, practical tools, and ways to connect with your teen.
So whether you're walking the dog, stuck in traffic, or winding down after a long day, welcome, and let's dive into it.
Okay.
What's up, ladies?
It's good to be back.
Whew. So glad we banked a few episodes because, y'all, we have had a wild 2 weeks.
Truly wild. I don't even know.
Like, where do we start?
I don't. Well, okay.
I mean, Caitlin had a baby, so there's like a new family member.
Yes.
Just 6 weeks early. I'm slightly less puffy. I'm a little more normal colored. So in our last episode, we were talking about how swollen I was, and turns out there was a medical issue going on.
So let this be a lesson to, seek medical attention.
Yes. And we also said that the baby would come next month. Like within
he's already 2.5 weeks old. It's so wild. Yeah.
And he's the light of our lives.
I think the best part, I mean, obviously the best part is my child, but I think one of the highlights just in terms of irony of this whole situation is that we're so obsessed with each other. We had to all be at the hospital at the same time because Aaliyah also was hospitalized and ended up 4 doors down from where I was hospitalized and on the same floor as my baby, who was in the NICU temporarily since he was so early. So
I know. The only upsetting part is that we weren't in those 2 rooms at the same time.
I know,
although we did
but
this time.
And you were on the same floor.
Your hospitalization and mine. And luckily mine was, I'll just say it. It was a pretty severe case of food poisoning. I'm not sure where it came from, but
so unfortunate.
It was so unfortunate. So Caitlin had her baby 6 weeks early. Little Nolan was in the NICU. Then several days later, I went down and
Hannah held Cultivating Roots together by herself.
Hannah single-handedly.
It's so funny because, so we did a webinar the Wednesday before, literally
less than
12
24
hours.
It was
It was 12 hours, or maybe 13, 14 hours before. I think you guys left my house 14 hours before I had a baby, on my body, fully in the world. And Hannah was like, "You don't look good." And you were right. I did it. I was unwell.
And you looked unwell.
So we did our webinar, and afterwards we were just like, oh man, this, you were telling me I didn't look good. And I was like, I just got to get through next week. Cause we had, do we have 3 events? Something. We had an insane amount of Cultivating Roots events during that week. And it was my last week before maternity leave for my school job. And I had all these private practice clients. I was trying to get everything in before I was out. And none of that went according to plan.
He had other plans.
Yeah, he had other plans.
And also what's wild, in the hospital, when I was for my hospital stay,
in room 364.
And I was in room 360.
Okay, the lead nurse manager woman, whoever she was lovely. Everybody was so lovely.
Oh,
they come in one. Probably. Well, they come and check in on you, and Hannah happened to be there when this happened. And it turns out she works also. She's also a teacher, a nurse and a teacher. And she works, did I not tell you this? She works at the school that we were supposed to do the presentation on that Monday night that we had to cancel.
Wait.
She teaches. Yeah.
How did I not know this?
You're like, oh, I know the principal of that school. I teach health there in addition to being a nurse. I was like,
Isn't that?
Well, I guess so. For anybody listening, we had a presentation that we were supposed to do on Monday. I had my baby on Thursday, but I had a really intense health scare associated. I'm fine now, but it was like pretty bad. And so obviously I couldn't do a presentation on Monday. And then Aaliyah went down. Aaliyah and Hannah were going to do it.
And we were joking that Aaliyah wasn't going to be there, but that Caitlin would come in a wheelchair.
I know. Yeah. And I was like, you guys, like that Monday.
Still on my IV.
Yeah, because Aaliyah couldn't leave the bathroom.
Yeah. We'll say that. So yeah, that day, Monday, I was like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this. And then shortly I was like, there's no way. And then the hospitalization, that was Monday. The hospitalization didn't happen until Sunday. It was a long day.
Happened early. You should have come on Monday. We would have been there at the same time.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I got Nolan and I overlapped our hospital stays.
You sure did. Yeah, you sure did.
You and I did not.
When I came to visit Aaliyah, I had already visited Caitlin there twice and Nolan. So when I came for the third time, he was like, do you know where you're going? And I was like, well, I know where room 360 is. And he's like, well, 364 is just 4 doors down. I was like, well, then I know where it is.
So funny.
I
was at the hospital at the same time as you, but I was going to see my baby in the NICU, and I had a very low energy reserve.
Correct.
Unfortunately, my dog also died during this time. My beloved dog of 15 and a half years.
R.I.P.
George. But it was a wild time,
and thing after thing after thing.
So it's so us to end up in this 4 doors down from each other in the hospital.
When I checked my map and you were both at the hospital, I was just like, and not because you were visiting the baby, I was just like, what is happening? Like, what is going on?
3 people in our family were wearing Kaiser wristbands.
They were.
Actually 4, because Nate had one too.
Oh, Nate,
Which is funny.
But I mean, the good news is that Nolan is like
we're thriving, baby.
Champ. Caitlin is a champ. Like, everybody's okay.
Nobody died
except for George. Nobody died except for George.
I know. R.I.P. We miss him.
He was the best dog ever.
Yeah,
but he waited until the baby came, and
I know.
I think our souls crossed paths.
I hope so. And our friend Claire was telling me the other day that she thinks he's going to be reincarnated as a person. And I was like, that's a little terrifying, because this dog, I know everybody thinks their dog is smart, but like this dog was smarter than me, and it was a little terrifying. And him being reincarnated as a person is a scary concept. So
we could probably go into like who we think he would be, but maybe not appropriate.
Maybe not. Okay, well, that's just a little quick life update.
A little life update. Yep.
Wow.
So I think the moral of the story is you can't hold us down. We're always going to show up for Cultivating Roots. Hannah, you were a champion in terms of keeping us afloat. And
thanks, guys.
You really were.
Like, grateful for you. And we are... So
I feel like
happy.
I didn't do that much, but I love positive
you
feedback.
did.
You did a lot. You did a lot. And we're grateful to be here. And, even if we're both hospitalized, we're still going to show up for Cultivating Roots.
We will. We're like, how can we record the pod from the hospital?
We almost did when I was going to stay there overnight. Oh my God, if I had stayed there overnight, we would have been there. We would have been there. I just put that together.
You just see us like sitting together in one of our hospital beds watching Bravo.
We would have shared a bed. Like, we would have shared a hospital bed.
Yeah, like I would have been like, is it okay? Can I spend the night in her room?
Can we wheel into the same?
I will never. Okay, both of you guys, like, your coloring, I think that this is a good lesson, is like when somebody's coloring is off, there is something wrong with the person. Like, Caitlin,
it's
you
hard
were
though,
gray.
I'm so pale.
No, but Caitlin was gray. Like, her face when we left on Wednesday, like, I didn't think the baby would come less than 12 hours later, but I knew the baby would come early. Like, you looked like you could not continue on, which, like, you couldn't, obviously.
I couldn't. So for the listeners, I had this thing called HELP syndrome, so you can look it up. It's a bit dangerous. So, advocate for yourself.
Know the signs.
Know
It's
the
called
signs.
HELLP. It's basically when your placenta starts poisoning your body. So yeah, be careful out there.
Careful.
And then,
And again, I don't know what my food poisoning came from, but just make sure you wash your
but
hands
then
and,
when I saw
pay attention
Aaliyah
to.
on Saturday after she had been ill for at that point like 6 days, her face, like she's already pale, but her face like matched her teeth, and I was like, "You look like a ghost." And then she was like,
No.
and just like
I was like, I
laughed, and
can't
I
get
was
any
like,
saliva in my mouth. I'm too dehydrated.
"You need an IV right
Yeah.
now!" Like,
Oh my God. And you
you
did.
guys,
You
And you
really,
stepped up and you
really.
took care of some of my children. So not only were you taking care of the business,
I did.
but
You brought me lunch in the hospital. You really were
But I would
keeping us
rather have
all
been,
alive.
I would rather be that person than either one of you.
It's fair. It's
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
So,
We were in
Amen.
tough shape.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was rough for you guys.
But you know what? We're doing great now. We're doing great
We
now.
are.
And we're here to answer your parenting questions. So
Because that's what's important.
let's dive in as much as we do
do
talk about
it.
this forever.
Aaliyah, I
Okay.
think you're up first.
Okay. So first question. I'm Rachel from Portland. Oh, reminder, you change names, details to protect anonymity. Is that how you say it?
I was just
Anonymity?
thinking, I'm so glad that you read that word because I don't know how to say
Well, I was
it.
about to say anemone, like in Finding Nemo. I was like,
Anonymity?
anemone.
Okay,
Anonymity.
we're making sure that it stays private, okay?
Yep.
That's what we're doing.
I'm Rachel from Portland, Oregon. My daughter's best friend is constantly in trouble at school, detentions, cutting class, the works, and I'm torn. Do I step in before this friendship pulls her down, or do I back off and let her figure it out on her own?
Oof.
Hmm. This is a good question because I think it goes back to actually something that we reference in our course. Do you know what I'm going to say, Caitlin? Are you reading my brain? A
I don't
metaphor
know. I
about
don't
the
know.
dance, the, the dance floor and the balcony, which is basically this
Yes.
idea of like being able to discern as a parent, do I need to get on the dance floor with my kid and get involved? Or is this something where I'm on the balcony and I'm kind of observing and I'm offering support and guidance, but from a distance? So do you guys think this is a dance floor situation or a balcony situation?
I think it's a little bit of I'm like trying to think of the right metaphor, but I'm like,
I was thinking of somebody flying from both.
I think it's a balcony with dance lessons. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
like I think of it as when I was in high school, I was a goody two shoes, but I had a lot of friends who did some really wild things. And it did not impact my decision making. And when people would be like, don't be friends with that person, you're going to go down a bad path, it only made me want to be friends with them more. Right. So I think it really depends on what kind of kid you have. And I think it's an opportunity to have conversations of like, hey, I trust you. Right. But I'm curious, like, what are your opinions about, like, let's say her friend's name is Jennifer. Like, it seems like Jennifer is getting in trouble a lot. Like, what do you think about that? And does it make you nervous? And what are your opinions and thoughts? And what are you noticing about it? So it kind of opens up the conversation. But telling her you can't be friends with this person is probably not going to be like the most effective strategy. But encouraging her, or I don't know what the gender of the kid is, but my daughter's best friend. Encouraging your daughter to like have critical thinking skills around it and to be able to talk with you openly about it. And like, why do you think maybe she's doing this? Is she having trouble? Is there something going on? Is there some way that she needs extra support? Like opening up that dialogue, I think is going to have a better outcome than like, you can't hang out with this friend.
Yeah.
We also,
go ahead.
Oh, we also talk about values. And so this would be maybe a good time to talk about like your family values and what are your values and what are my values and all of that as well.
But yeah, I think that the approach has to be so intentional and delicate because to the teenage brain, and they're going to interpret what you say like in a way that you probably aren't anticipating, or like your intention
Yeah.
behind it wasn't to, make them
Mm-hmm.
defensive, but they just are so defensive of the things that they're doing, their choices, their friends. And so you just really want to be, I think, careful about the way that get curious, as Hannah likes to say. And I also wonder too, like, is this a new friend, or is this a friend that
Mm-hmm.
that their child has had for a long time, and maybe you have a relationship with that friend because they've spent time in your home and you've known them for a while.
Yeah,
Because that might change how you approach things as well.
Yeah,
totally.
that's a good
I think
point.
this comes up sometimes in relationships too. Like, if your kid is dating somebody that you are concerned about and how that's going to impact them, or if they're in a toxic relationship. And I know parents can feel really trapped when their kid, and I've seen this like in therapy too, where I have a student or a client who's dating somebody and the relationship is not going well. And I have to be like really careful about how I talk about that person, and kind of, instead of encouraging them to step away from the person, you're encouraging them to like take self-reflection and see like, how do I feel around this person? Am I making the best choices for myself? Um, because ultimately your kid only has control over them. They don't have control over their friend. And so helping
Mhm.
them learn how to have their own boundaries is pretty much the best outcome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I've definitely had this come up with, families that I've worked with over the years where like a parent or guardian has expressed concern about a potentially, negative friendship, and kind of not knowing what to do about it. And I've had some parents who like call the other parent
Mm-hmm.
and kind of start there. And again, I think like that could be the right approach, but I think it depends on the history with this friend and with you
Yeah.
and the other parent. The level of concern you have. Like if there are safety concerns where like say, this kid is driving without a license or is like using substances, kind of weighing whether or not
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or how much she's going to get involved.
Yeah, because it's like the detentions
Yeah.
and skipping class, there's going to be natural consequences from that. But those are like larger concerns for sure with higher
Mm-hmm.
risk. Yeah.
Yeah. And also when you're talking, it made me think of like, and again, we don't know all of the details, but one strategy could be like trying to have that friend over at your house more often to try
Oh, I
and be
like
like a
Yeah.
that.
positive influence. So, I know like that was my mom's approach when I had friends that were a little chaotic sometimes in high school. Like she would be like, I'll give you guys a ride, and like just try to be a little bit more involved, because maybe that kid is doing that because they don't have the support system at home. And if they can, not that you need to be that support system, but just if you're a steady, stable adult that's a good role model for them, your kid might end up being a positive influence on them instead of them being a negative influence on your kid.
Right.
Totally.
I like
It's
that.
a great idea.
Yeah. Are
Being a
we
safe space and a safe face for kids is
a
always a
trusted
benefit.
adult?
A trusted adult. Anyways, I think those are
Um,
good strategies for that one.
Good place to
yeah,
start. Yeah.
definitely. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do the next one.
Let's do it.
Okay. So this one is from Marcus, and he's from Denver, Colorado. And he says, every time I set a boundary with my 15-year-old, he fires back with, but else is allowed to. And I don't want to cave, but I also don't want to push him so far away that he stops talking to me altogether. How do I stand firm without breaking our relationship? And I like that this one is the focus on his relationship with the child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But kind
definitely.
of
Um,
similar to the first question in the sense of like, how do I navigate these fears I have and then boundaries around that with my child in a way that doesn't push them away. So it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
a similar approach that
it
you
sounds
might
like this
take.
is maybe the rubber band theory.
Do you want to explain what that is, Hannah?
I'm going to leave it up to the experts.
So we talk about the rubber band theory in our course, and it's this concept of like you want to have enough slack on a rubber band, so you don't want to be. We did not make this up. It's documented in other areas, but you want to have enough tension to where the rubber band doesn't snap. You don't want to have so much tension between each other that you guys pull away and the rubber band snaps all together. But if you lean in too much, what happens is teens tend to pull away. And so you want to have like a nice equal balance. So sometimes that can be when teenagers are like shut off and they don't want to talk about stuff. You want to give them a little bit of space so that there's tension on the rubber band. That's the concept of the rubber band theory.
Thank
And
you
I
for
think
explaining.
I think too, like narrowing your focus in terms of what you're hoping to accomplish with your teen or what specific boundary you want to address, because a lot of times I think what happens is parents get worried, which is valid and understandable, and then they just kind of like dump it all on the
Mm-hmm.
kid, and then the kid feels like overwhelmed and like
Mm-hmm.
pushes back or kind of shuts down. And so maybe being just like super clear on what your concern is or what the boundary, like picking one thing instead of just being super general when you
Mm-hmm.
communicate with your teen.
Yeah. It reminds me of, we talk about edges in our course, and it's a metaphor, not a metaphor, an acronym for emotional rate. We think about boundaries as being edges. So we think about emotional regulation for the E, decision making for the D, guidance for the G, esteem for self and others for the E, and self-sufficiency. And so it's all of these components, and our course goes into depth about all of this, of like what makes up a healthy boundary and how to set it and how to communicate it to your child. So it's more in depth than we can explain here, but that's kind of
But
our
we
strategy
are
for.
going to be presenting on this
You're
topic.
right.
If
Yeah. So
anybody lives in the area.
if you're a local, but I also know it's not a webinar. It's a in
It's
person
not.
in Marin.
Yeah.
So if you live in Sonoma, Marin, San Francisco,
October
we're going
24th? 29th. It's in
October
my
20th.
phone. Let me see. I'm in my I'm in my classroom, so it's in my little notebook.
But we are doing a presentation at Fusion Academy. It's also on our
October.
Instagram.
Oh no, that's the Screen Sanity. I don't know the date.
October 8th.
Well,
October 8th.
Yeah.
I also am curious your thoughts about like this comment of like, well, everyone else is allowed to do this, because I think that's a super common thing that
For all
parents
ages.
hear.
For all
Yes,
ages, yeah.
and it wears on you, like as a parent, when you're constantly hearing from your kid, like, well, everybody else is doing this. And then you're like, well, I don't want my kid to feel left out. And like, am I being overly, you might start to question,
Totally.
Which
question
actually is
yourself.
related. Feeling left out is related, actually, I think, to the next question too. There's part of that.
But I think just like making sure as a parent or caregiver that you have somebody in your life that you can kind of like run these things by a sounding board, so that when you are feeling like, am I doing the right thing by, holding the line, or should I let my kid do X, Y, and Z? It's so helpful, I think, to talk through those things. So identifying somebody in your life, whether that's, your partner or co-parent or a friend, or if you see a therapist, whoever,
Yeah.
another
It's like
parent who's going through similar things and has similar kinds of boundaries.
our friendship group text is always being like, this just happened with my kid. Like, am I doing the
Literally.
right thing? Or how? Because parenting is an emotional process, and having other people to help check you can be really validating and supportive. And when
And
your
it's not
kids,
black and white.
yeah, and when your
Totally.
kid says that, I don't think that that's the moment to like teach. It can just be like, I hear that it's really frustrating that
Right.
you wish that the outcome was different, and I get that that's frustrating, and like
like
that's
that.
all you have to say. You don't have to say like, well, they're doing it wrong, or in this house this is what we do. Like you don't have to give a reason. If
And you don't have
have
to
a
solve
rule,
their feelings. Like,
yeah, you can just
they're
validate
allowed to
it.
be upset about it. Just like sometimes I say to my kids
Totally.
who are much younger, like, you're allowed to be upset and I'm allowed to have this boundary or rule. Like both things are true. And I hear that, yeah,
Totally.
you're
Like
pissed about it.
it's total. It's it's a bummer for you right now. And I hear that. I'm so mad that I'm 13 years old and you won't let me have social media and everybody else has it. Like, I get that that's really frustrating. And it's hard for me to see you sad about this. And this is still the rule in our house.
Or
Right.
like last week's question, having a party at your house with alcohol, if that's what her friends are doing, it's not okay.
Yeah. Like,
That's not for us.
I hear that is something that other people are doing, and you
And
wish
that's
that was the
no.
case in our home.
This is why we do it differently in our house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Totally.
okay.
All right. Question number 3. So this one's from, we called her Lila from Austin, Texas. She is a 14-year-old. And oh, this breaks my heart. She came home in tears because she wasn't invited to a party that all her friends are going to. Lila wants to support her, but she's afraid that anything she'll say will just make it worse. What's the right way to help without adding to the pain? Poor
That is
girlie.
It's really hard. And I feel like not only is being left out difficult, but like with social media, it's like you see everything. And so that is also like another layer. It's like not only do you realize that you're missing out, but then like there might be pictures and people talking about it
or
on
like
social
you can
media.
track a lot of these kids track each other.
Creepy.
I mean, we do track each
Totally.
other. There's lots of opinions on
think,
that, but like seeing that,
yeah.
like I've had students be like, "Oh, like my friend said that they couldn't hang out or they were doing
and
X,
were
Y,
all
and
together.
Z," and then I like find my friends, and they're all together, and it's
so
like
tough,
so crushing.
That's really hard. I didn't even think about that piece.
You know what is another thing that I think is not thought about is like, it's not just you seeing the photos of the event that you weren't invited to. I think there is this pressure of like not being in those photos too. Like we always talk about like, oh, you see that you were like missing out on X, Y, and Z, but it's also about like, for the teen, I think it's also about like other people are going to see that I wasn't there. And that's like an added layer of pressure that social media brings. And I think sometimes pressure on our kids, like even when they do get invited to stuff and they don't want to go, there's like, well, if I'm not there, then people are going to think that I wasn't invited. And so there's less of like a desire to do what you actually want to do because you don't want to appear as not invited, which I know that's not the question, but just bringing that up because I hear that a lot.
And I think for this parent, like, drawing on what you know about your child and how they operate, like, are they somebody who, when they are having a hard time, likes to have space and be alone? Do they like to verbally process things? Do they like want to be distracted? So, and it's okay to ask your child, like, what do you need from me? How can I be helpful? And then just always validating their feelings. I think, as adults, caregivers, parents, counselors, teachers, like we always are like, how can we solve the problem? And we want to make you feel better. And a lot of the comments that, get communicated to your teen or whoever the child is, from that lens, just only kind of make things worse. And so just, listening and repeating back what you hear.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to say to kids is, I know I can't solve this problem for you, but I'm here in it with you. And I want to do whatever I can to support you through it. So tell me what you need right now. Right. It's just like a simple way of saying like, I see you. I see that this is really hard. I know I can't change anything about it. And I also like, I'm in it with you and we can figure this out together. Whether that's you need space, like you said, we got to go get our nails done to have the distraction. We're going to make popcorn or a snack or something and watch a movie together or whatever, walk the dog, whatever.
And I think going back to like the previous question when I was like, oh, you need somebody to be able to bounce things off of. I think the same, you need your own coping strategies to deal with your feelings around your child struggling and having a hard time, because it's painful to see your child upset and like not be able to do anything about it. And I think a lot of times we feel that way and then we like project that onto our kids unknowingly or like not intentionally, but because we are struggling because they're struggling. And so really also for yourself, figuring out like, how can I manage my own feelings around this in a way that doesn't impact my ability to support my child?
Yeah. And another thing that happens, I think, is like, and I don't know if this is the situation, but sometimes it's the parents are friends, and then there's
Mhm.
exclusion that happens, and then that
I feel like
impacts
that.
parent groups to like
Yeah.
Tough.
we're all friends and kids are
Right.
friends with each other. And then if
Right.
the kids are all little right now, but like if there's tension during the teenage years, that can cause tension for the parents, and then an over-identification for the parents. And so really trying to like take space away from that so that your kid can have their own
That's a
feelings. Like
whole
if you're
nother
having a
layer.
big reaction, trying to make sure that your big reaction doesn't impact your kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they get to have their reaction to this, you
Yeah.
know?
Totally.
They do.
And you don't want them feeling like they can't come to you because they have
Come
to
to
take
you.
care of you.
Right. Which we see
A
happen.
lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. So I think using that phrase of like, I know I can't solve this problem for you, but I'm in it with you, and whatever I can do to support you is the best strategy, and like really hearing from them what they need or taking their cues about what they need. You know your kids
Yeah.
best.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Should we end there? I'm so glad we got to record this
Yeah.
finally.
I
I think
So
this is
glad.
maybe our third or fourth date of attempt, and we did it today.
I think it's funny
And
because the last time, I think it was maybe it was 2 times ago that we were, yeah, it was 2 times ago that we recorded or maybe 3, that we had to reschedule because Henry fell and hit his head, and we had to like reschedule because of that. And that was just like one
And then
rescheduling.
Georgia was sick.
And then Georgia was sick. But then
Right.
like, no, what was like what happened the last couple of weeks in rescheduling.
we have been avid
So Henry
Kaiser
was also
attendees.
at that hospital.
It's wild.
Hopefully the next time, we are together in this medium, we will have less exciting news
Hopefully.
to share.
Hopefully we'll have exciting
different-
news related to cultivating
Exciting news,
roots.
but less
Health.
yeah.
Health
Yeah, we were
complications.
just featured in Petaluma Living. So if you live in Petaluma, you might have seen
On the
us in your
west side.
mailboxes.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
And so
That was
that's
very
been fun.
exciting.
Yeah. Check us
Okay.
out.
Well, so you can find us at Cultivating Roots on Instagram. And then if you have questions that you want to submit, we have a spot on our website, Caitlin. It's under contact, correct?
You got it, girl? Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we want to hear from you.
Yeah. So send us your questions on DM on Instagram or under contact on our website, CULTIBATEENROTS. Instagram, Facebook, our website, email us.
TikTok, but we're scared.
I'm so impressed every time that you spell. I'm so impressed every time that you spell that out, Caitlin.
I look, my name says Caitlin Severn, co-founder, Cultivating Roots, and I read it.
Okay.
That's
good.
Wow. I was thinking that I feel like we need a jingle to that.
Cultivate. Oh, we should ask Ruby. She's an expert jingle maker. My niece.
Okay.
I'll have her make us a jingle.
You'll put her on the job.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need how like Danny on his podcast he has like his little different things, like that could be one of ours.
We need a soundboard.
A soundboard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We might have one.
See you later.
Bye.